Welcome to this week's Devoted with a special guest. This is my son Taylor, for those who do not know. This will all make sense in just a couple of minutes, but I want to read the verse that we're in. We are in the third part of Hebrews 12:1. So we've looked at the first part of verse 1 2 weeks ago, the second part of Hebrews 12 verse 1 last week, and then we'll look at the third part of Hebrews 12 verse 1 today. And we may even look at a little bit all three here in just a second. Let me read it, and then I'll explain to you why we have a special guest. All right. Hebrews 12:1. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a huge crowd of witnesses to the life of faith, that was the first part, let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily trips us up. Second part. Third part. And let us run with endurance the race God has set before us. Enter stage left, special guest. You ran a race.
I did.
Yesterday.
Yep.
What kind of race was it?
It was an Olympic distance triathlon.
Tell us, what is that?
Olympic distance triathlon is a 3-leg race. You start with swimming, you transition to biking, and then after biking you go to running. Many people are familiar with Ironmans, half Ironmans. This was not that length. This was a 0.9 mile swim, a 25 mile bike, and a 6 mile run.
Just nothing. Yeah.
Day at the office.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Show us your tattoo.
I did. This is not a permanent thing. This is a temporary tag that I will keep on for probably through tomorrow. And then I'll have it off. But I was proud of it. It's my first triathlon, so I'm keeping it on for a while.
And did you finish well?
I finished better than expected. This being my first race, you don't know what your first triathlon. You don't know what you're going to do. The goal is to just finish. You want to get over the finish line.
My goal was not to die.
Yes.
I did a triathlon when I was 50. My goal, don't die. Anyway.
So I finished better than expected. Out of 15 in my age group, I was second, so I was able to podium.
Cool.
And then out of
Did you get a medal? Did you bite it?
I did get a medal. I didn't bite the medal. I got a plaque though.
Olympic gold medal. Yeah. You got a plaque?
I did get a plaque.
And you finished 6 out of the entire field, right?
It's something
16?
around that, yeah.
6?
Something.
6, yeah. So
I did well.
So you did well. So a little proud of my son. So let's break this down. And we talked briefly about this, but so at the very end, you were running. And there's 2 guys. It was Taylor and this other guy. The other guy was in front, just probably 30, 40 yards from the finish line. And then you could see Taylor. I mean, I know my son, but I was watching Taylor and I saw the video. Colleen, his wife, I think was the one that had the video. And I'm watching Taylor, and I know my son well enough to know he ain't gonna let this guy beat him. I know my son. And so, but he starts kind of, not real hard, but I see Taylor pass him. And then this guy realizes that, wait, there's somebody passing me. I ain't gonna let. And so it was a race within the race. I mean, and I heard cheering. Now I asked earlier, did you hear the cheering?
No.
Why did you hear the cheering?
You get locked in. I'm focusing on this guy and my cadence, and that is it.
And you want to beat that guy.
That's right.
But there was cheering for you before the race, a lot of support before the race. Even during the race, I'm sure you saw Colleen every now and then. And at the end, it was kind of cool because he did finish. He did beat the guy. And he high-fived the guy. And the announcer was getting into it. I heard the announcer say, well, look at this, So, again, kind of this idea of there are people, we don't have people cheering us on from heaven. I don't think and again, we've said this before, Uncle Frank and Irma aren't watching us. But we do have a crowd of witnesses that have gone before us. In fact, even with the triathlon, this wasn't the first triathlon ever done in all of created history. There's been lots of triathlons. So I bet you learned from other people who ran the race.
Absolutely.
So you studied, learned, did some research on how other people succeeded, correct, probably? I did too. When I ran my triathlon when I was 50, I learned from a lot of different people who had ran it. I even talked to people, how do you do this? How should you do this? That's kind of the crowd of witnesses. And that should be the crowd of witnesses of our faith. That makes sense? And then the second part is let us strip off everything that would so easily trip us or that would slow us down. So interesting, there's 3 stages.
Yep.
And all 3 stages have nuances of what we are to wear. And you can't wear the same thing all the time.
Yep.
Every stage is a different outfit.
Yeah, so I think the best example of this is moving from, you wear a very similar outfit from swimming into biking. You do add some things actually, but I think the best example is from biking to running. When in competitive racing bikes, you're clipped into the bike. You have to have cleats essentially that are clipped into the bike. Those are good for nothing else. You should not run in bike cleats. You also, if you ever watch a triathlon, especially people who are new to triathlons, you all see a surprising number of people start to run the race with their helmet on.
Oh yeah.
You don't in the chaos and the transition, you forget that you have a helmet on. And so I think what speaks to that passage is like, you want to run in the most efficient way possible. You want to participate in the sport in the most efficient use of the equipment. And so I had to, just like every other athlete, take off those shoes and swap them out for running shoes. Take off the helmet, put on the belt that has my water and nutrition so that I can do it well. And so I think in each phase or season of this race in life, you need to have the correct equipment and strip off the things that are going to hinder you. And you have to do that in a triathlon as well.
That's really good. That's really good. I was thinking they'll preach, but you just did, so that's good. Final piece, the last piece. Let us run with endurance the race God has set before us. So everyone has a race. We're all running a race. We'll talk about that in just a second. But your thoughts on endurance. Did you wake up Saturday morning after doing nothing for the last several months and think, I think I'm going to do a triathlon and just start going?
No.
What did you have to do?
There was probably not enough, but a large amount of training that goes into it. You have to think through, at least the way I approached it was, it's in a physical term called brick workouts. Yeah. There are people that know how to run, there are people that know how to swim, there are people that know how to bike. And many of them have done all three disciplines. But there is something different about doing them all, one after another after another. Yeah. And so you have to prepare yourself physically, but also mentally. In the transition periods, you have to know where all of your gear is, you have to know what order of operations to do so that, again, you're not losing time, you're not wasting energy looking for your bike or trying to figure out where you left your shoes, or I don't know how this particular set of gear works. There is severe and necessary amounts of preparation that go into. Certainly all of that plays into your efficiency, but it also helps you endure the challenges that you're inevitably going to face in a race.
And those, what we call brick workouts, those brick workouts, when you alternate swimming with running or biking with swimming or whatever, they build up the lung capacity and your body so that you can do all three on race day well. And so last thing, did you win something?
I did.
Did you win a medal or a plaque or something?
Everyone who finished got a medal, but because I was able to place in my age group, I got a plaque.
So you won a plaque and you won a medal.
Yep.
Pretty cool. Good job. Most important thing in your life?
No.
Will it translate somehow to the kingdom? Like, will you?
Potentially, but in the real, like practical terms, no.
Yeah. A little bit more important race to run?
There is.
Running races in this world is important, and where there's training and there's endurance, but we have a race. It's called faith, and what Paul, who we believe is writing Hebrews, is telling the church: train well, learn well, so you can endure well. There's a race, and you're going to be on it, and we want what the writer is asking, and what Christ wants for us for the kingdom. Let's endure the race well. Let's run it well with endurance. So be devoted to the race. How's that? Be devoted to the race. Amen? Be blessed.